Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video will be on this beautiful top. We are kind of moving away from our comfort zone. That's more like doing things we are not used to doing on this channel. And if you like that, please join me on this ride as we include some of other things in this channel. And if this is your first time of stopping by, do wait to hit on the subscribe button, and let's get straight into the video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video will be on this top for our trousers with small collar. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to mark a straight line, and this will be our starting point. So the first thing next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark the length of this top, and placing my tape from the starting point, I'll go ahead and mark the length of my top, and the length of this top is 27 inches, and then I'll be adding my stitching allowance while transferring this pattern to my fabric. So I'm going to go ahead and connect this line straight. I'm sorry if the camera is shaking. I have my mic connected to it, so if I move, it usually moves. So once I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and mark my armhole measurement, or let's say my bust point. My armhole point is 8 inches, but I'm going to be adding ½ inch to it because I don't want it to be like fitted around the armhole. Then I'll go ahead and mark my half length, or let's say my waistline, which is at 17 inches. So I'll go ahead and connect this line straight. Okay, let's do this style. So for this style, is going to be a shirt, kind of a shirt. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is to mark 2.5 inches from the beginning of this to the end, so that we'll be able to use the same pattern to cut out our back borders. So we'll be cutting the back and the front together on this same pattern, or let's say we'll be using the same pattern to cut out the front and the back. So I'll go ahead and mark this 2.5 inches, then I'll connect it with a straight line. Once I am done with this, so let's go ahead and mark our measurement. So our measurement is going to be starting from here. Remember, the one that is this 2.5 inches will be included in this front pattern. So let's continue. So placing my tape from this point, don't forget, I'll go ahead and mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. I'll be adding all my stitching allowance while transferring to my fabric. Once I am done with this, for my shoulder slope, I'm going down by 1 inch, and then I'll connect this to my starting point. Then for my neckline, I want to have a wide neckline. So from this line, I am marking 3.5 inches, and then for the depth of it, I am marking at let's say 7 inches. Then I'll go ahead and connect these points. Once I am done with this, I'll go ahead and mark my bust measurement divided by 4, which is 10.75. Then I'll add 1 inch for ease. When you look at the style, you see that it's not a fitted one. Then I'll add 1 inch for stitching allowance. In fact, just like I said, so I don't forget to add stitching allowance in some places. So I'll go ahead and create my armhole curve. But before that, I'll measure these 2 points, and then I'll divide it into 2. I'll make a mark at the center. Then from that center, I'll go in by ½ inch. So I'll go ahead and connect this point, and this my bust measurement point. I'm trying to get a perfect curve for this, or I'll just use my hand to do this because it's taking forever. So this is what we have after cutting this. Then for my waistline, I'm going to be adding my waist measurement divided by 4. Remember, our measurement is starting from here. I'll make a mark there. Then I'll add 1 inch for ease. I'll go ahead and connect these points coming from the bust. Then at this point, because this top will extend to my hip line, that's the length of it. It's going to extend to my hip line. So I'm going to go ahead and insert my hip measurements here, divided by 4. And then I'll also add 1 inch for ease. You can do more than 1 inch if that's what works for you. Then I'll go ahead and connect this line straight this way, and I'll connect this one to meet it up. So this is what we have, but because I want this place to be like curved, at this point I am going up by 4.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and curve it. You can go higher if you want yours to be higher or more curvy, but for me I'll just stop at this place, and then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So for our back neckline, remember this is for the front. For the back neckline, I am going down by 2 inches, and then I'll connect it this way. So this front one is supposed to extend towards the front, but I'm not going to be cutting this neckline now until I am done cutting the back, and then transfer the front one to the pattern before I'll cut the front one. Okay, so because the back neckline is not going to affect the front pattern, so I'm going to be cutting it this way. And for the pattern bow, you can see the way I am cutting it. So this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead and fold in this button allowance. I'll fold in this button allowance. Once I fold this in, we'll have just the back pattern, so I'll use it to cut out my back borders. So guys, this is fabric I'll be using for this style, and I tilted the fabric more like I want to cut a flare. The reason why I'm doing it this way is that I don't want this pattern to be just like straight, horizontal or vertical form straight. I want it to be like in somehow diagonal. I don't know what to call it, well, that's the idea of folding it this way. If you look at it, you see that it's folded more like in a triangular form, like I want to cut out my flare. So I'll go ahead and add my stitching allowance all around it. I mistakenly pushed it, so that's why. So this is what we have. You can see it's not like straight or straight, so it's more like diagonal. I believe that's what I'm supposed to call it. So this is for the back. We are going to cut out the front. So okay guys, so this is the front pattern. I've cut out on the another how my fabric folded as well, and you can see at the neckline I didn't cut exactly at the neckline. The reason being that if you cut it this way exactly on your neckline, by the time you want to fold it here, you want to fold it, remember this is a shirt, you want to fold it like this, you fold 1/2 inch and fold over again. You'll be having shortage of fabric here at this end, so you can see it's not up to the end. So that's why I don't usually cut it. I'll have to fold it before I cut. So let me remove the pattern first before I cut that part. So I've taken out my pattern, so I'll go ahead and fold by 1/2 inch, and then I'll fold over by 1 inch. I'll pin this down so that it doesn't keep moving. Once I pin this down, I'll bring in my pattern. I'll still place it this way. I'll make sure I align, oh my goodness, align the shoulder, because that's what is going to give me a guide of what I am supposed to cut. So I still have like extra 1 inch to cut. So I'll go ahead and measure that 1 inch. I'll go ahead and measure that 1 inch. Then I'll cut. So the reason why I'm cutting on this 1 inch is because the pattern is more than 1 inch, but I need some stitching allowance, so I'll cut less than what I have in the pattern, so I'll have something to stitch it down with. So when you look at it, you see that at this point is a big higher than the normal. If I'm to cut it normal, it's going to go this way, but you can see it's a bit higher, like about 1/2 inch or less than higher than normal neckline. So, and you can see also it's cut in a diagonal form. I'll not bite my tongue today. So this is for my sleeve. I got already cut out my sleeve, and I cut it in normal pattern so that my fabric will be enough. And if you want to tutorial on the sleeve, is in my channel. Check the description box is there, so that this video will not be too long. Why do I keep biting my tongue? So let's go ahead and cut out the facing for the front pattern first, and I'll fold my fabric into two. I'll bring in one of my patterns and I'll place it on top of it, making sure that the center line, the center piece, that this bottom part is the one facing the center of the folded fabric. And I want this facing to extend towards the buttonhole, so I'm going to be cutting this way. So let me pin it down first and cut out my, if you have enough fabric, just extend your facing towards the end of the fabric. But because my fabric is not enough, I'll just cut out for some inches, about 4 inches towards the button allowance. So let's go ahead and cut this out. So I'll take my pattern out, and then I'll go ahead and cut this way. If there's any reason for me to trim this button side, just like because I want it to just be on the button allowance, I'll trim that off later. But for now, I'm going to be cutting this way to meet that end. So for our collar, I have my pattern here, and then I placed my front bodies on the pattern. I'm going to go ahead and mark the 2.5 inches for my button, because it's not supposed to get to my button. It's going to start immediately after my button. So once I mark that, then I'm going to go ahead and trace out this, or pin it down and cut it out. I don't know which one is even better or easier. So let's trace this out. Trace this out. So this is where our measurement started. I'll take this out. I just hope you can see. So this is where our measurement started, and this is where it stopped. So from here, I'm going to be slanting this. I'll first of all measure how long I want the collar to be. So for this collar, I'm going to be turning it from both. I'm going to be needing allowance on both sides. So I'm going to be marking at 3.5 inches. By the time I am done, I will have 2.5 inches left. So I'll mark. So I'm sorry for the this is where our measurement stopped. So instead of slanting this way, I'm supposed to slant this way. I'm so sorry about that. So you slant this way. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. Okay guys, so this is the collar. I'm done cutting out all the pieces. I have 2 pieces on both sides. So what I'm going to be doing, this longer side is what we're going to be what is going to be on our neck area. So that's what the side we're going to be attaching to the bodies of this top. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch here by 1/2 inch. You can see where I'm touching. So this is where you're going to be stitching, and then this here as well. I'll stitch it by 1/2 inch, and then from there I'll turn it to the right side. Then for our sleeve, let's prep it because this sewing tutorial is going to move on a faster pace. So I'll go ahead and hem this by 2 inches. It's a short sleeve, very short sleeve. So that's what I wanted, a short sleeve. So I'll hem it by 1.5 inches, and then we'll proceed to other part of it. So guys, this is the sleeve. I'm done stitching it, and the second one. Then for the collar, I'm also done stitching it, and I turned it to the right side. If you have any means of ironing, please do well to iron at this point. But if you don't, just like I am, let's continue with the tutorial. In fact, I don't understand my English these days. For our back piece, I'll open it up, and then I'll place my facing. You can do front facing front or back facing, whichever you want. Then I'll stitch it by 1/2 inch and then turn it to the right side. But the reason why I like doing front facing front before turning it is that so that by the turn it, even if this part is visible, it aligns with the color of the fabric. So I'll do it this way and stitch it down. Okay guys, so we are going to go ahead and attach the collar to the sleeve. So while attaching this collar, I want to mention this so that you don't make mistake. I've attached this in before. I had to loosen it up. So please make sure that because when you look at it, you see that the armhole and the neckline, they look almost the same. So you might mistakenly attach the collar and the facing to the armhole. So how to differentiate it is that when you look at this place is straight, this is the buttonhole area, and then the cuff bar is the side seam. So the side seam is the one with the armhole, and then this one straight is for the neckline. I hope you understand this. So we're going to go ahead and measure from here 2.5 inches for our buttonhole. So now we have already established the fact that this side is for our buttonhole. That's the center front. I'll go ahead and mark 2.5 inches. So this is where our collar is going to start. So I'll bring in my collar, and then I'll go ahead and place it this way, making sure in fact, I'm going to be starting from here to pin it down, from the shoulder to pin it down, so that even if it doesn't get to this buttonhole, it doesn't change anything, but I know that it's going to get to it. So I'll hold it this way and pin this down first. Oh my goodness. So make sure you arrange your collar well, and then you pick up the one under and make sure it's well aligned. You don't want to stitch and miss any place while stitching. So I'll pin this down, and then I'll bring in my facing. So this is where my facing is going to be. I'll go ahead and pin it down with the collar, everything. So the collar is sandwiched in between the facing and the main fabric. So I'll go ahead and pin this all around off camera, and then I'll stitch by 1/2 inch this way, and I'll repeat the same process for the other side of the front. So guys, this is what we have after I am done, and then I opened it up this way, push the stitching allowance to the facing side, and top stitch it. So at this area that has curve, I'm going to go ahead and make notches around it before going ahead to iron it. Once I am done with this, I'll do the same thing for the other side as well, below it. So I'll go ahead and iron this out. So guys, this is what we have after I was done ironing it. Oh my goodness. So okay, this is for the back. I ironed it as well, and also made notches around here before I ironed it. Then the front, this is what we have after ironing. So this is the collar. So this is what we have, and also for this side as well. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to open this front facing front. Open this up. Oh, we've not worked on our buttonhole. So for our buttonhole, before we start that, for our buttonhole, I'm going to go ahead and fold it. So I'll fold by 1/2 inch, and then I'll fold over again. I just hope you guys can see, and fold over again by 1 inch, and then I'll stitch it here all the way to the end, and I'll do the same thing for the other. So guys, this is our buttonhole. I am done with it. You can see how it is. You can go ahead and iron this at this point. So I'll go ahead and open this up this way, and I'll also open this up this way. So this is what we are going to be having. This is what we're going to have after I'm done. I'll bring in my back bodies, and then I'll do front facing front. So it's either you place this way and stitch it down, or you just make sure you arrange your seam side well, making sure your seam side is matching. Then pick up this back facing and cover it up. Then you stitch. When you are done stitching, once you turn it to the other side, it will be closed. So I'll do the same thing for this other side. So guys, this is our shoulder line. You can see the facing is covering the stitch. The facing is covering the stitch. Then I also went ahead to attach my sleeve to it. You can see it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to we're going to be doing front facing front again. You can go ahead at this point, use your pins to hold down your buttonhole and button allowance. Hold it this way, pin it down, or you can just go ahead and do this front facing front. Remember, we added 1 inch stitching allowance, so I'm going to be stitching this on 1 inch all the way from one end to the other, and I'll do the same thing for this other side. So guys, this is what we have after I'm done stitching this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to hem this. So I'll go ahead and fold it by 1/2 inch and then 1/2 inch, or you can just serge it and then fold just one by 1/2 inch. Once I am done with that, we're going to go ahead and attach our buttonhole and then our button.